If elected president, Vice President Leni Robredo says she's open to having joint exploration activities with China in the Reed Bank, but that comes with heavy conditions. Despite positioning himself as a front runner in the May 2022 polls, presidential hopeful Bongbong Marcos refuses to participate in the presidential interviews of a major network. Legal experts and lawmakers weigh in on the no vax, no labas policy in areas under alert levels 3 and 4. And Louis Vuitton bid farewell to the late Virgil Abloh with a live orchestra and breakdancing. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know to jumpstart your weekend. I'm Riza Diaz. Vice President Leni Robredo gives us a glimpse of what her administration's foreign policy will look like if elected president. Men Los Baños with a story.
If elected president, the country's incumbent second leader says she's open to joint exploration activities with China in the Reed Bank, but that comes with conditions.
Now, if we are to enter into any joint venture or joint exploration activity with China, dapat ang unang requirement natin that China recognizes our arbitral win. Dahil ito yung premise on that. And para sa akin, a good neighbor and a real friend is really fair and follows international law.
Back in 2016, the Philippines won against China in a landmark ruling by The Hague, effectively invalidating Beijing's claim in the West Philippine Sea. But China continues to push back against the ruling, ever increasing their presence in the contested waters. For Vice President Leni Robredo, the country's next leader should have the guts to stand up to bullies.
And any leader should have the courage to stand up for the dignity of our nation. Ang pinuno ng bansa, dapat handa tayong ipaglaban yung ating karapatan. Hindi dapat tayo nakikipagkompromiso sa ating kasarinlan.
In the forum, Meet the Presidentiables Economic Reforms in the New Frontier, Robredo made clear what her administration's foreign policy will be.
Ang atin ay atin. Our foreign policy will always put the interests of our country and our people first. We will have to address challenges always with courage and honor, and we should be unrestrained by fear and be free from the influence of any political power.
Having said that, the VP is open to allowing more foreign investments even if it requires amending economic provisions of the 1987 Constitution. But this, she says, should come with transparency and participation of the people.
We ensure that the process is open, transparent, and people are given the opportunity to participate. Kasi Mike, yun naman yung parating worry ng tao. That some of the other provisions not needing any amendments.
But even without the amendments, Robredo says foreign investments may still be boosted through a more responsible enactment of the Public Service Act, which would open up large-scale investments. Reporting for News 5, Mean Los Baños, we are One News.
The Cusi-led PDP Laban officially endorses Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte-Carpio as its vice presidential candidate. The Duterte-backed faction believes the president's daughter has the credentials and track record needed for the second highest national position. Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi says they are finalizing their alliance with Lakas CMD, which Mayor Sara co-chairs. The Cusi-led faction, however, did not endorse Sara's running mate Bongbong Marcos for president.
We are in the process of evaluating who among the present, the candidates, who among the candidates would best continue the programs that this administration has started.
When can we expect your announcement for the presidential candidate?
Siguro in the next before the siguro before the before the campaign begin. Wala pa. Sila lahat pwede.
The Marcos camp says as far as Partido Federal ng Pilipinas and the UNI team are concerned, the PDP Laban's adoption of Duterte-Carpio deserves utmost respect. The camp adds that no formal agreement has been made between PDP Laban and Lakas CMD in upong ng pagbabago for Mayor Sara's adoption. PDP Laban says it will announce its candidate for president before the campaign season begins. Presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos Jr. has declined to participate in GMA7's presidential interviews. According to GMA7, they extended the invitation to the top 5 candidates in the survey, but only Vice President Danny Robredo, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno, and Senators Manny Pacquiao and Ping Lacson accepted. GMA added that the candidates will be asked about all issues surrounding their candidacy in the 2-hour show. The Marcos camp has yet to comment on why he skipped the interview. For a senatorial aspirant and a former palace spokesperson, Harry Roque, the no vax, no ride policy is not anti-poor. Speaking on 1PH sa Totoo Lang, Roque said that it is within the police power of the state to require mandatory vaccination. He added that this is for the safety of all Filipinos and that the only solution for those who can't afford cars is to get vaccinated.
Yung regulasyon po na no vax, no ride, kabahagi po yan ng reasonable regulation para pangalagaan po ang kalusugan ng karamihan. Kung papayagan po natin talaga ang mga unvaccinated, ang posibilidad po talaga magiging super spreader sila, lalo na sa public transportation na ang dami-daming sumasakay. Hindi po ikaw papatawa ng pagkakakulong kung ayaw mong magbakuna, hindi ka ipa-fine kung ayaw mong magpabakuna.
Meanwhile, Roque also supports vice presidential candidate Sara Duterte's plan to make ROTC mandatory should she win in the elections. But the senatorial aspirant added that the proposal should be studied first from a budget perspective.
Yung proposal po ni Mayor Inday Sara, naintindihan ko po yun, no? Dahil kinakailangan meron tayong kahandaan na protektahan ng ating bayan. Kaya lang, siyempre po, pag-aaralan niya na mabuti. I'm supportive po in principle. Pero in reality po, hindi ko po alam kung kakayanin natin bayaran yung napakadaming pag-require natin ng military service.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Can and should a law be passed to make vaccination mandatory? Now, legal experts and lawmakers weigh in on the no vax, no labas policy in areas under alerts level 3 and 4. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez gives us a front seat to the story.
In a bid to curb the country's COVID infections, the government has implemented policies that restrict the unvaccinated's movement. The no vaccine, no labas rule is currently being imposed in Metro Manila and other areas under alert level 3 and 4. For one, Iloilo City also recently pushed this, as well as the mandatory vaccination to achieve herd immunity.
Hindi kasi ito kagaya ng ibang bagay na pwedeng optional lang May ibang madedehado.
But various groups were quick to oppose this, saying it could deprive individuals the access to basic needs. Lawyers Group Center Law also stressed that only Congress could implement vaccine mandates.
It's in Article 3, the Bill of Rights, Section 6. It provides that neither shall the right to travel be impaired except in the interests of national security, public safety, or public health. As
84th District Representative P.D. Barzaga earlier said a bill on mandatory vaccination has been filed in Congress last year. However, it hasn't been heard in the committee level. The no vaccine, no ride policy also kicked off earlier this week, only to bring confusion and chaos to commuters. Marikina Mayor Marcy Teodoro told One News the Chiefs that this won't be applied in the city, citing impractical and discriminatory remarks.
Yung iba nasabi sa amin, anti-poor dahil ang nagpa-public transport naman talaga yung mga daily wage earner, yung mga walang sariling sasakyan.
Teodoro added that the policy would be difficult to enforce and monitor. DOLE and DOTR recently clarified that workers are exempted from it after many were left stranded and barred from riding PUVs. Teodoro also said it would make more sense to rather focus on the public's strict compliance on the minimum health standards. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez, We Are One News.
Now, while several LGUs make the case for limiting the mobility of the unvaccinated, the private sector, on the other hand, is pushing for a shift from facility to home-based quarantine for incoming travelers. Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship, Joey Concepcion, says the entry requirements for the Philippines are so extensive and complicated for returning overseas Filipinos and foreigners. Current travel entry rules require a negative RT-PCR test taken 48 hours before departure from the country of origin. Meanwhile, passengers from countries under moderate risk are required to stay in a quarantine facility upon arrival until they get a negative test result.
I'm proposing to our IATF members is that a gradual move towards, to me, the removal of quarantine in the Philippines and moving towards home quarantine rather than a facility-based quarantine, because my own view is that it has not actually helped us from preventing Delta or Omicron from entering the country.
Now, after he passed away from cancer last November, Virgil Abloh's last collection from Louis Vuitton debuted in Paris Fashion Week. The fashion brand bid farewell to their former creative director with a live orchestra and breakdancing. Let's watch this.
On this January evening, Louis Vuitton Menswear held a very special show after the brand's creative director, Virgil Abloh, passed away from a rare form of cancer in November at the age of 41. So Paris Fashion Week celebrated him. The Carreau du Temple welcomed guests such as PSG soccer player Sergio Ramos and Spanish model Manu Rios. Fans cheered when he arrived. Before the show, the blue lighting gave a dreamlike and intimate atmosphere to a catwalk that featured a bedroom as well as the roof of a house. Yassine Bey, the rapper previously known as Mos Def, nudged the audience into sitting down with his subtle stepping and drumming. A giant dinner table was set for the Chineke Orchestra, Europe's first majority black and ethnically diverse orchestra. The show presented a mix of models showcasing Abloh's last creations, including purple suits and what seemed to be diamond covers for the ears, but it also featured models breakdancing every now and then. All to a score created for the occasion by Tyler, the Creator, who cycled past the audience as the show came to an end. Warm embraces took place afterwards, while celebrities like Naomi Campbell and stand-up comedian Dave Chappelle congratulated the composer.
The show is over. All guests don't want to leave just yet. After all, it's the last of my
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later again at 9 in the morning as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for free account now, www.signalplay.com, and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.